What is happening, man? Good morning. Welcome for Winning on Wednesday. You know what time it is. It's 9 a.m. Central, and it is Wednesday, which means it's Winning on Wednesday. We're doing something a little different today. You will find down here very shortly, but want to give a shout out, as always, to Viva Virtual Solutions for being the sponsor of the show and helping us out, man. They do all the work behind the scenes of this show, all the production, right? They help us get out all the clips, all the fun stuff that you get to see on social media. Right? They make sure that we've got stuff on Instagram, on YouTube, on Reels and Shorts, etc. Lily Davies, our producer behind the scenes, does a great job. And thank you. Big shout out again to Viva for all of that help. So those guys are outstanding. If you are looking for a virtual assistant, give them a holler over at Viva. And as always, again, welcome to Winning on Wednesday. If you're tuning in, let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. And also go ahead and get ready for your weekly win. I've got an awesome weekly win. I actually talked about it if you saw the Tuesday training show yesterday, right? We finally got some great news in the Medicare space that helps us maybe not feel so stagnant. Not that Medicare is a stagnant space. It's been a blowing up market for a long time, but with the administration change and Medicare what it is, and they kind of use it as a political football from time to time, we've had a lot of rules within Medicare that have been frozen in time, so to speak. So we weren't really sure. We kind of felt in limbo for a long time on exactly where this next set of rules are going, right? Is it going to affect agent compensation? Is it going to affect plans? What's going to happen with the beneficiaries, et cetera, et cetera? So we finally got some great final rules dropped from Medicare. They dropped last Friday, and then they dropped an updated payment announcement yesterday, which was music to a lot of people's ears because it allowed us now to know, hey, now we're not in limbo. Now we know exactly what's going on with the Medicare space, and all signs point to yes, growth mode. Let's get it on. So that is my weekly one. Put yours in the comments. We're going to get our guest up here in just a second. As you can tell, we're doing something a little different. Like you usually don't see me by myself for Winning on Wednesday. Hey, Tony's the Tuesday guy. What's he doing by himself on Wednesday? Well, we're continuing our segment of Meet the Hosts. So it gives an opportunity for you guys to get a chance, like, who are these guys that we keep seeing on screen, right? We got a guy that shows up on Monday, some dude named Luke Akery, nothing big, just a 9-figure business owner. We got me on Tuesdays. You got to meet me a couple of weeks ago when our fearless leader, Joe Kampert, interviewed me, gave you a chance to get to know me. And we're going to be bringing the Sala brothers on. We've got a few interviews lined up over the next couple of weeks to help you understand who some of these people are that you see on screen in the syndicate, what we're doing, what we're about, and why we all believe that we can continue to bring this community together and grow value. So with that said, we're going to bring our guest on. Our guest is none other than the Jolly Ginger Giant himself, the guy that I'm usually hosting this show with as co-host, the Tower of Power, the Master of Disaster, Lean Joe Green, the money-making machine, Mr. Joe Kampert. And I have the very first question for you before we get into the weekly win. I just want to settle something right now. Is Frazier your middle name?
That's actually a great way to start, because I bet you a lot of people that have seen me around actually think that's my middle name. Frazier is not my middle name, y'all. What up to everybody? Happy Winning on Wednesday. Yeah, my middle name is Dane, spelled Dayne. So I was just really into boxing years ago when I created my Facebook. A lot of people don't know that I used to be really into like boxing and MMA and fighting and stuff like that. So yeah, I was just really into boxing when I started my Facebook. And then it's like, and who knows, maybe we'll get there. We'll talk about kind of personal brand. Everybody just kind of knew me as Joe Frazier. So then I just left it. It was part of the social media awareness. I was like, okay, I'm just going to leave it.
Fair enough. Well, hopefully we will never hear those famous words applied to you. Down goes Frazier.
Yeah, hopefully not yet. I don't ever want to hear that either. That's funny.
Good deal. Well, man, it certainly is always it's great to be able to spend some more time with you, right? We were cooped up in this office together a lot, so you and I get to see each other quite a bit. But the goal in this show is to help our viewers, our audience, the 8,600 whatever it is members that we have in this Facebook group, to get to know some of the people that are in this group. You are our fearless founder of the group that started this, and we started this group, it's 2025. We started this 2020, 2021.
We're coming up on 4 years, I want to say. So okay. Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So First, real cool. Actually, before we dive into some other stuff, I need your weekly win, brother. I know you're crushing out there in your growth space, but what's the big weekly win for you? And it better not be softball.
It wasn't softball. I did play exceptionally well last night, but we got our asses kicked, dude. So I'm not even going to. Shane, if you're watching this on my personal profile later, I will give you kudos. You guys freaking wiped the floor with us last night. No, I would say my weekly win, probably just the kickstart of this week. Monday, Tuesday, leading up the calls that I have today. I mean, I've already sent out 5 franchise disclosures this week. So anybody that knows me or has been following my journey a little bit, I'm the president of business development at Clearview Insurance, and we are an approved franchise now. So, and we have been for quite a while, but now I've only been pushing the franchise contract and getting in front of other, business owners and entrepreneurs and other insurance agents too, that ultimately want to take advantage of the opportunity. But yeah, it's pretty cool. When I first started sending out the FDDs, I was so scared because I was just like, golly, man, like it's 170 freaking pages long. Like there's all this legal stuff that we have to have disclosed in there because of the franchise and all that crap. But it's been really cool to see that, man, where it's actually getting me in front of, I think, higher caliber, higher level entrepreneurs and business owners, even outside of the insurance space, which has been cool. Getting you met Thad, obviously, having somebody who comes from the real estate, banking, and mortgage space who is now, tapping into that franchise side on the insurance. It's been really cool to see. So yeah, that's my weekly win. Got quite a few FTDs out there, and that's a nice chunk of change for me if we get those to the finish line. So
yeah, absolutely, man. So you've been in insurance a really long time. Like when we're going to get into some of that in a minute, and now you're this business development director. Help people understand exactly what you're doing within a business development director. I mean, you said, hey, I'm doing franchises, whatever. I'm the president of business development. So the way I understand it, just to help extrapolate this for some of the slower people like myself, your whole function now is to find other agents that want to break into the PNC space at a franchise level with Clearview, get all access to all the gear, all the products, the tools, technology, or whatever it is, and then roll out right with that level of operation versus having to come in at, kind of a nickel and dime effort. Do I understand that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And for anybody, this is from Josh Lustig. For anybody that's in the life and health space, we're like a PNC IMO. Now, obviously, we're a franchise, so it's a little bit different. But for anybody that's on that side, some of you, at least on the PNC, you're used to like hearing an aggregator or a network or a cluster. Again, we're a franchise now, but we're very similar to an IMO on the life and health side, where I'm going out, I'm finding agents, which is crazy. We'll probably talk some about that and how I'm able to get in front of all these agents, all through organic strategies, through a platform that you're sitting here watching us on now. But really getting in front of them, showing the right agent the right opportunity, because I believe that's what we have, and then ultimately giving them the tools, the resources, and the not only the support in onboarding. My biggest thing, like when I'm talking to somebody and going through kind of everything we offer, I think. And I know, well, not everybody, but just for the sake of example, I think anybody can kind of onboard you, right? There's modules, there's pre-recorded videos, you can go to the carrier trainings, all that. But I always tell anybody how I would have onboarded you 6 months ago would probably be different today, just because of all the changes, and especially operating at a national scale. There's different shit coming out every freaking day, depending on the state, where, hey, it's this carrier doing this, or it's this, or the rates, or whatever that might be. And so the continued support, I think, is the biggest piece. We're in this for the long haul, right? We're not trying to go fast. We're trying to go far. And I think that continued support piece, that's really kind of like my full-time job. Like, I bring you on, and if I'm not doing a podcast or if I'm not recruiting an agent, I'm training them and supporting them and showing them kind of how to do it, which I'm doing it myself and have my own little agency as well. So gives me a little value add. I'm not the typical corporate guy. So
definitely true.
Yeah.
Most corporate guys are wearing khakis or something. This dude walks around in gym shorts, running a 8-figure PNC shop. Before we get into your history more, I want to stick with this just a little bit longer. And I kind of lost my train of thought on the question, but it had to do with like the difference in the seat that you're in now versus where you used to be. And we'll get through more of that. And now I kind of picked it up. Is the PNC space, since what you're doing is you're finding people that are looking for growth in the PNC world. Because I know PNC is going through some challenges right now, right? You got carriers pulled out of different states. Just basic answer. Is it a good time for someone to get into the PNC world?
I'm so freaking glad.
Is there opportunity? still there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It pisses me off, honestly. I just had this conversation where an agent was a little timid to potentially even make the jump into the PNC space. And even, I mean, sometimes you can classify this just as an industry as a whole, because everything's been crazy for the past couple of years. I know on y'all side of things it has been, right? With all the like, you better be staying on top of your crap, man, because there's a lot of stuff that's been changing and a lot of moving pieces. In my opinion, it's the best time to get in. You don't know any better. Right. Like, I mean, for somebody coming in and it's like, all right, hey, we obviously are finding success. We've had to pivot. You guys know that's one of my favorite words. We've had to change kind of our operation and how we go out and get business, and even the type of business that we're writing. Because again, some of the carriers are changing. There's just inflation in the economy and non-resident stuff and resident states, blah, blah, blah. But really, if you don't know any better, you can come in and have success now. I mean, just imagine when the freaking floodgates open. And that's the really cool part I'm seeing, is that I tell agents, no, now's the best time to get in. You're freaking hungry. You want to get after it. You're trying to grow, right, exponentially. Now I think is the best time to get in, because there's a lot of freaking lazy agents out there that ain't willing to work, that are not willing to. Well, Pete Fournier disrupted a couple things in this group literally based off that, where we have agents. I mean, guys, the standard, and I hate to say it, and hopefully I'm not speaking to you here within the group, but I mean, the freaking benchmark, the standard we're at is like, man, you guys just always pick up your phone. It's like, you are my client. You are paying my bills. You'd think I'd pick up your freaking call, or at least call you back if I'm on the other line, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on that. I tell everybody, especially whoever told you is the wrong time, then that to me is somebody who's struggling. That's somebody who is trying to keep that secret sauce to themselves. They're not trying to collaborate because they're like, I don't want this guy coming in and taking my freaking business. But I think now is a great time to get in. It's a hard market. Don't get me wrong. You got to work hard. But, man, when it opens back up, you're going to be like, dude, this is a freaking cakewalk. Let's go.
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel in kind of your headspace there, because just like you alluded in my world of Medicare, like we've been dealing with regulation like crazy. And I just opened up the show with my weekly win being that we kind of feel like, I'm not going to say that the floodgates have opened. In Medicare, the floodgates have been open for a while. We got like 10, 12,000 people turning 65 every day. So the market's abundant. It's been a lot of the regulation and marketing practices and a lot of the friction and so forth, and just the political football that is Medicare. But I feel like we finally got through that impasse where things are going to start opening up again. Things are going to, the market's going to get easier, I should say, instead of hard.
Right.
So I'm sure you're excited to see that in your space.
Yeah. It's just a positive change where it's like,
100%.
Yes, like carriers are back, and like carriers are profitable. And like, you're looking at some of, like, from the past 2 years, a lot of these carriers were running, hot, like over 100% in loss. So it's like, I mean, they're literally not making money. And to see that now kind of come back, you're seeing it like a Nationwide. We've talked about that here in the group. Nationwide, everybody knows Nationwide's on your side, right? Well, they haven't been for the last like 3 years, dude. Like, they ain't been doing nothing. And now they're opening back up. And so again, even a company like that, if you're seeing them who took such big hits in the last 3 years, if they're opening back up and they want new business, that to me is a really positive change. It's a good sign, I should say.
Absolutely. Well, good stuff, man. So let's dive back into a little more of your career and just your history and getting to know who Joe Kampert is. My understanding is that you've come from Indiana. Is that correct? Is that your original hometown?
Well, hometown's Austin. Born in Austin, but was raised. I mean, I spent a lot of my life up in Indiana. So
and you broke into the insurance space in Indiana. Is that correct?
Left Indiana. So I guess technically, I said yes in Indiana, but I started in St. Louis. So that's where I had the internship with Allstate. Was still living in Indiana. Was still going to college. Was playing lacrosse in college. Actually, a lot of people when they read my bio on Facebook, they're like, live, love, lax. Like, man, he really likes that airport. And it's like, no, it stands for lacrosse, not LAX. But, but got to play a couple years in college. And it's funny, I always tell people this, and a lot of you guys know my story. I've been around insurance most of my life. My dad was in insurance for years. He got back into insurance after leaving for a short stint. So I've kind of always been exposed to it. I guess the exposure, though, is 1,000 times different than what we're obviously exposed to now, right?
Sure. Absolutely.
Back then there wasn't leads, there wasn't internet, dad's calling through the phone book, working for a captive state farm agency. Right. So, but for me, I broke into it, needed a summer internship in between my sophomore and junior year of college. And it was like, man, I'm just kind of going through the motions. This is just what I'm supposed to do. And I'm supposed to get this summer internship to get into the business scholars program. Put in the comments if any of you guys have else had similar experiences here where it's like, all right, well, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do to get a good degree, or at least a better degree to get a good job, or maybe a better job, right? And my dad was a field sales leader for Allstate Insurance Company in St. Louis. We were in the West Central region is what they called it, and still call it. And he was like, look, I got this agent. You can either go back to work in construction and save all your money all summer, so hopefully you can get back to school, or hey, you can come and get this internship. And then the school, it was a free internship, but there's a stipend. So then the school would pay me to go get it, but then ultimately would get me into this BSP, the Business Scholars Program. And went, and y'all, when I say I was an intern, like I was doing all the intern work, you name it. That's what I was doing. We had just bought an older guy's book, and he was all paper. And we were going paperless, but it was still like it was still paper apps, but we were trying to get paperless for E&O purposes and stuff. And so I spent literally an entire summer, and ultimately, even after I stayed on full time, it took me like over a year for, okay, we got to go through these paper applications. We had filing cabinets like stacked, like, dude, is as long as our studio. Tony is crazy. And I'm just going through, okay, here's the applicant, searching e-agent. Anybody on the Allstate days, I was one of the first to get into e-agent. And if they're not an e-agent, create them an e-agent and then scan in all the freaking paperwork, because we're supposed to have all that on hand and we didn't want all the paper. So that was what I did. But then ultimately that was through the summer, and shout out to Tracy Bibb. She's the one who gave me my shot. Say, hey, look, I know you kind of never really liked school and kind of were just going through the motions. Would you want to stay on full time? I'm getting ready to let go of this customer service person. So that's where I actually started, y'all. You guys hear a lot of I'm sending out franchise disclosures and shit now. I was a customer service rep for like my first 18 months. Taking claims calls, increases, postcard. We're still doing direct mail, handwritten postcards, all that good stuff, which it still worked too. It still does work too. But that's how I started, man. And I tell everybody that, to me, is, I think, why I got so good on the sales side of things. We've talked about this before, because I knew everything that happened after I pushed that button, right? So then when you put me in like, okay, now I'm here before I push the button and I can speak to everything that happens after, it just made me that much more proficient when I'm on the phone. So
it makes sense.
Yep. Started as an intern at 19, dude, and here we are.
What did you do any jobs, any work before you got into insurance of any sort?
Yep. First job, second grade, had a paper route for the
grade.
Second grade, had the paper route for the Noblesville Daily Times. Had 3 blocks, because I don't think with like child labor laws or something, they could give me more. So I had 3 blocks, but it was a lot for me, right?
Yeah.
And I was making $60 every 2 weeks. Thought I was I was living like a king, dude.
Second grade, absolutely.
I had that paper out, dude, for I did that paper out for years, man. 6 days a week. So it'd be Monday through Friday. I come home right after school, go do my afternoon route. And then Saturday mornings, me and my brother, instead of cartoons, we're up rolling papers and going to deliver. They had all the comics in it, and they were like too heavy for me to carry or put on my bike. So I had to like roll around with a wagon on Saturday mornings and deliver papers. That actually got me into one of my favorite jobs, which I think kind of made me better with networking and with people, because all I was client facing. He actually was one of the editors or publishers or something on the Noblesville Daily Times, and he was my freaking next door neighbor. And so he had this catering company called Zeck's North Carolina Barbecue. Shout out to Jeff Zeckel if you catch this at all. I know you're not really on Facebook a lot, but Zeck's North Carolina Barbecue. So I got in with him, did some catering events for like golf outings and stuff. And then ultimately we got really involved with the farmers market to the point of where we were actually running the farmers market. And we were the largest farmers market in the whole state of Indiana. I mean, we would have like 100-something vendors set up there. I mean, we're out there at 5 a.m. every Saturday setting up. And I was selling pulled pork, lemon shake-ups, biscuits and gravy. I mean, you name it, dude. We were funnel cakes, tenderloins. And that's literally how I kind of first got started into sales, outside of like mowing yards and just kind of basic shit you do on your street. It was, I'm out here offering samples of pulled pork, like free samples, pulled pork, free samples. How often you get free these days? Just yelling at people walking by, just trying to get them to take a bite, because I knew if they took a bite, they could either buy the sandwich hot, which made us more money, or, hey, I don't want to, eat it right now, but I would like to take it home. Well, I got it by the pound in the back. How much do you want? And so that's kind of where I started, man, was selling pulled pork, was mowing yards, was running a paper route, and then got construction is what I did for probably 2 to 3 years, was doing home remodels, any and everything, running wire, tile work, roof work, anything, man. I had to do all kinds of shit in that job.
Sure.
But that's ultimately kind of what led me to insurance was, okay, I can either go back and do this. And I appreciate the people, like the laborers and the people like doing what they're doing. It was really rewarding having the finished product. Like, dude, we worked on this house for freaking 6 months and it's beautiful. Look at all that I put into that. But then, dude, at the same time, it was like, man, like you guys just wake up and do this every single morning, every single day. I'm like, dude, I think my back hurts now. Like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine that. So that was when, okay, well, let me go try this desk job.
Yeah. The hell with building the house. Let's just insure it.
Yes, bingo.
Instead.
Exactly.
Right on. You said that, so Tracy Bibb was kind of gave you your first shot, right? You get this internship into Allstate. You're basically a paper filer, right? For the most part, customer service rep.
Yep.
Right. Learning some of that stuff. And then she comes to you and you said it. You said it exactly. She said, hey, I know you don't like school, or I know you never liked school. What's with that? What's the problem with school?
I don't know, man. I just didn't like being in the classroom. I don't know. Maybe I should have gotten more into trades and stuff like that. Like something, I don't know, like sitting there with the book and just kind of, maybe it was like, I'm a guy that likes to go against the grain. And so I felt very kind of just like, go sit in your box, bro, and do your thing. And if you even step foot outside of this, you're in suspension or OSS or freaking whatever. Right. And I don't know. I just felt like I was really just going through the motion. The reason I didn't mind school, I would say, I wouldn't say that I hated it or anything. I didn't like it, but I didn't necessarily hate it or anything because honestly, it's where all my friends were anyways. So it's like, well, I guess I get to go see my friends every day. It's funny. This is actually a fun fact. I had perfect attendance. I never missed a day of school from second grade up until my senior year of high school. And then I missed one day on a Friday because I got strep throat and got sick. And ended up not being able to make that Friday. But I literally had perfect attendance, was going to get like this whole, like, I think it was like a $15,000 or $20,000 grant for college because of this perfect attendance. And then I missed the freaking one Friday in my senior year. But I seriously I always made it there. Don't ask if I was always there the entire day.
You were physically there, maybe not mentally there.
I never had a tardy or an absence, dude.
That's wild. What was it about watching your dad work with State Farm that made you want to get an insurance at a young age? Like, was there something that you saw? Was it just the admiration of, hey, I love my dad, I admire my dad, so whatever it is he's doing, it's got to be kind of cool, right? Regardless, even if you don't know much about it. Was it kind of that, or was there something that you saw him doing? You're like, I really dig it.
So I don't know if I've ever told anybody this story. Good question, Tony. I remember because he had started, I guess I was in second because we had just moved to Noblesville. We were like 1 year in Indianapolis and then moved up to Noblesville to start this scratch State Farm office of his. Second grade, my brother's 2 years older than me. And he had this back office. I don't even think he had staff yet. Like the agency had like just kind of got up and running. And he was there late nights, dude, just dialing, like just going through the phone book and trying to get leads. And State Farm back then, and they might still have to. He was having to do like mortgages, credit cards, obviously insurance, PNC, life insurance. The whole thing, right, to hit these bonuses and these tiers. And I remember it was in his back, like I call it in my mind, I don't know, I just call it like a shell room. It's just this blank freaking white office. It was big, kind of the size of our studio, but nothing in it. And me and my brother had a tennis ball, dude. We just sit back there and play wall ball. And like, we would just be in this office for hours, dude. And I just loved being in the office and like seeing his staff, and they had like little sour lifesavers candy, for us. So, and it's like, just, I don't know. I always liked the environment. Talking about Tracy Bibb kind of leads me into, and really kind of my first jobs and everything. She asked me why do you want to freaking do this? I'm like, well, I do love to make money. I do, right? I started working in freaking second grade because it's like I'm trying to have money, right? And if you look statistically, insurance and financial services, like they produce the most millionaires out of any other industry. Okay, so must be a good industry if I like to make money. I love to help people. I do love to help people. And when I get to help people and I get to make money, this is freaking amazing. And then on the property and casualty side, my third piece was, for the most part, I'm illegal not to have. So if I love making money and I get to help people while I'm doing it and you got to have me, this sounds like freaking job security. It sounds like something I could really get into and be in for a while. And that's, I guess, I'm very legacy driven. I'm trying to change the family tree and leave something to my kids and their kids and their kids, the whole 100-year agency type thing. But those were kind of like the three things that really I remember being in Dad's office though, dude. It's funny. I haven't thought about that in quite a while, man, just sitting in there, and he's probably like damn, man, can they stop throwing the freaking ball against the wall? I'm trying to make calls, Me and Sam were just like going hard playing wall ball in the back office at that agency, man.
That's
Yeah,
wild.
it's crazy. And actually with that, when Dad opened that agency, again, second grade, it was almost 20 years, literally like 20 years to the month, not to the day, but 20 years to the month, where basically I remember being in that agency. We had the career fair. I told you this, where I wanted to, I had an insurance little agent booth, right? Because I wanted to be like Dad. And I remember I wanted to be a business owner. I didn't know 100% insurance yet, but I knew I wanted to be a business owner in Austin, Texas. And it was literally 20 years to the month later, we got our, when you file your EIN and everything, and you get your Texas stamp and approving your binder and everything. And I remember that showing up in the office, and it says Redwood Agency Group, a Texas company. And I'm like, no shit, dude. Like, wow, how crazy is that? Like 20 years almost to the day, here we are starting a family company in a place that I wanted to be in and starting a company. Pretty crazy, man.
So going back to your why, right? Tracy's like, hey, why insurance? And you kind of thought of three things, right? Well, now fast forward, has that come true? Are those three things that you're like, this is why I wanted to get insurance? Are you realizing that, oh, I was right from the beginning? Like, I'm not maybe as stupid as some people think I am?
I think I'm right, but it's changed and more. I think a lot of agents, this is some good encouragement for anybody listening, because I want to drop some value for you guys through my story. Is how I set out to make money and help people has changed entirely. I don't sell auto and home insurance. Hell, I don't sell insurance anymore. Now, do I have my own agency and have a team, and do I know the carriers and refer all that? Yes, absolutely. I sold one policy last year just because it was a little high level, but outside of that, I haven't sold a single policy in years. And so when I first set out, though, it was, well, everybody needs this and everybody needs this. So, and I'm going to make money and I can help them. And now how I'm able to make money and provide and help people, it's definitely client facing, but now it's shifted to the agent side, where it's really cool. I never envisioned myself being, like a business development person and, and recruiting and bringing on agents and having them trust in me and pay us thousands of dollars to invest into the franchise and all that. Like, I didn't ever envision me making money that way. Again, maybe that goes back to the box that I was in, just kind of from like being raised, like, okay, this is what I'm seeing and this is how you make money. But then over time, through exposure, through collaboration, through literally one of the reasons why I created this freaking group is getting around other people. And you're like, what am I doing just selling freaking car insurance, dude? Like, there's so much other opportunity out here. Hell, I mean, even making money off of CRM in insurance, still helping people, still making money, right? And it's not illegal not to have, but you better have a CRM, right? So it's been cool to kind of see that and how that's changed. And I'm sure even for you, how much has that changed for you?
Yes, 100%. Because you and I have both been, and certainly I've been in the business a little bit longer, but we've been in it long enough to see the days where everything was generated through paper, like you just talked about, like my dad was calling the phone book. Right. Like I remember one of the opportunities that I was investigating when I was in my first year in insurance was with NAA, as I remember. It was one of the 3-letter MLM groups that recruits and sells life insurance. I think they're still out there. Don't know, but I remember they wanted me to cold call to set appointments for the lead agent to go run and sell life insurance. And then he would shave off a little cheddar for me and train me up until I could go run the appointments myself. I didn't last that long. And the reason why I didn't last that long, because he said, yeah, I got a list for you, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, hey, you mentioned a list that you have that I can call. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's right here. And then handed me the white pages. And he's like, there you go. Start at the top. I'm like, okay. And I wasn't very good at that aspect of the business. And I was also still very brand new. But that's where I want to get with you. I want to get back in your headspace. And when you were a rookie agent that didn't know squat from squat. Number one, do you remember your very first sale? You wrote on your own pen under your license.
Well, I guess, I remember, so my first one ever was Anton's HVAC. And I got them. It was when I just moved out of customer service. Tracy already had some ladies running the personal line side and all the incoming leads and stuff. We did a bunch of stuff on the radio with ESPN and then a local, it was the Rizzuto show. If anybody's in St. Louis, you guys probably know the Rizzuto show. So we did a bunch of like concerts and ticket giveaways and stuff. So they had a lot of inbound traffic, but nobody was doing commercial insurance. So I actually commercial is where I started actually in the sales position. I didn't get into personal lines until I'd moved agencies at that point. But yeah, my first one I literally every morning, and I would get a list. I think I pulled it from Sales Genie. I don't know if they even still are around.
Wow.
And I would pull it from Sales Genie, and it would be based off zip code. And I'd have our Allstate approved postcards that we had to order through the Allstate site or whatever. And they'd all come up, and it's like, we'd love to quote you, or it's like, please call me or something. I can't remember. Big Blue. And then on the other, it was, we would love to win your business. And then I just handwrite, and then I'm just handwriting. I mean, even the address, the names, everything. And what do you know? I sent a freaking postcard to Anton's HVAC. They had 12 units. So it was 12. It's funny, kind of my first exposure to commercial auto insurance and fleets and stuff. They had 12 units. We went in person. My boss, Tracy, had a pug. So she went with me because it was kind of my first, right? They freaking love pugs. They're all about a pug, and then we go in there and we literally close this 12 unit commercial auto deal off of a handwritten postcard I sent out. So Anton's HVAC was actually my first. I had help with it just because I was like, I have no clue what I'm doing.
Right.
but here we are. Yeah.
Now,
that was my first one.
now take that same headspace that you just mentioned. Like, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I got a hot one on the phone. Right. And thankfully you have a good upline, a good mentor, someone that's taking care of you, and they take you out to the site and they show you the ropes and help you close your first sale.
Yep.
How important is that for a new agent to have that person with them?
Dude, it's everything. It literally is. I don't know. That's why I always give Tracy a shout out. And I know I'm not with her agency and I left her agency and everything, but I literally would not be who I am today if I didn't have somebody like a Tracy Bibb in my life when I first started. I honestly think the independent space could be better at this because don't get me wrong. I wish I had been independent longer, but at the same time, I don't think I would have taken away the showing me the ropes on the captive side. We have a lot of captive audience in here. You guys can probably agree with me. Dude, that shit was, amazing training, man. Like, it was so good. They made me so proficient at selling freaking Allstate insurance over the time that I was there with them. I mean, you go through Allstate University, you go through Binding Authority. At that time in St. Louis, I could go to the Kansas office at the Sprint headquarters, and get additional certifications and additional training and life and health and advisor, all this stuff that, I was really damn good at selling Allstate, right? But then again, that's kind of, you start seeing the writing, man, what if I had one more, two more? But I don't think I would change that. And I wish we had a little bit more of that in the independent space, a little bit more structured from the carrier sense. I think we have it as far as like how we support, but at the end of the day, right, like I'm not the carrier either, right? So I think Allstate always did a really good job with that. I've heard, great things about other captive programs as well, where like, dude, you're good. I was really good at selling Big Blue. I believed in Big Blue. It was so how I used to look at independent agents, Tony. I'm like, oh, those are small mom and pop shops, bro. They write all the bullshit. Like, cause it was, literally I had sipped the Kool-Aid where, man, if it ain't Big Blue,
right,
it's garbage. Right.
Right.
And then turns out, dad's like working with independent agents on the Allstate side, trying to get them to sell more Allstate, and, rolls out to a 2-story brand new freaking built office. Guy's been open 7 years, has 27 million on the books. It's just like, small mom and pop shops, huh? Like, okay, like maybe we should be taking a look at this.
How long did you work with Tracy at Allstate?
Tracy, I was 2 years. 2 years. Then went to Scott Combs and learned so much at Scott's agency because I just did
also
everything.
An Allstate agency?
That was also an Allstate. He was a scratch Allstate agent. And so I was really good at kind of the setup and the process because that's what Tracy kind of taught me to do. So then going to a new guy who had never been in insurance, it was like, man, I'm the freaking rock star. But I learned so much at that agency because literally I did freaking everything, man. I did all the marketing. I did all the sales. I did all the service. Any freaking foot traffic, because we did still have quite a bit of foot traffic then. We were in a MAC. It's a multi-agent center. Again, Allstate people would know this, where we were the only agency in here, but then they put in 2 more agencies. Shout out to Sean Wiley if you're watching this, and you're welcome. No, I'm kidding. But no, Sean came in with his agency brand new. I'm like, I'll help you. I'll show you the ropes. I'll show you exactly what I'm doing and this, and this. And that's kind of where I got the taste. Tony, I almost left. I almost wasn't going to be in this. I was going to be a corporate guy. I was like, I'm kind of burnt out. I'm tired of doing all the sales, all of this. And I'm good at it. Like all these other agents are hitting their goals. Scott's agency, we were number one in the region. Everybody's like, who the hell is this? It's like, oh, Joe's freaking over there. And then showing Sean. And I'm like, man, there's an opening for the APS, the agency process specialist. It's like $80,000 a year, company car, company phone. And all I do is go around helping scratch agents start up. I'm like, this sounds amazing. And so my dad had won a trip. We're out in New Orleans, and not a lot of people know this story. It's how I really got exposed to like, oh shit, you can actually make some freaking money in insurance. Dad won this leadership award out to the Allstate for the Sugar Bowl. So it was New Year's Eve and then New Year's Day for the Sugar Bowl. We were staying at the Ritz-Carlton off Bourbon. I mean, it's decked out, man. And I was going out there because I knew this guy that my dad knows this chick, Christina, who's hiring for this APS position where I was at. So let me go, shake some hands, kiss some babies, have him put in a good word. He puts in the good word. I mean, it's a done deal. I got the job, right? So we have a great day. We did some things on Bourbon Street that with some higher ups with Allstate, but that I'm not going to repeat. But we had a great day, and just say that everybody loved Joe. And so he put in the good word with Christina. And that night is when I met a gentleman, two gentlemen actually, in the Ritz-Carlton at 3 a.m. in the freaking hotel lobby bar. It's popping because it's New Year's Eve. Mm-hmm. And I sit down, and then literally both of them, turns out they're both mega agencies with Allstate, which mega is just your big agency, top in the country. And they both offered me a job on the spot. Literally, we'll pay you $100,000 a year. Which one do you want to work with? And I'm like, what? Like, I was out here.
It's like Shark Tank all of a sudden.
Get this corporate job, not to start back over again or join a new agency or who even are y'all? This is crazy. No way. So it's like 3:30 and almost 4 a.m. at this point. I go running upstairs. I wake up Dad. I'm like, dude, like I just got offered 6 figures. I had never made close to 6 figures at this point. And he was like, no way. Like, and I was like, dude, I'm telling you, man. And they both offered me to it. I have to choose which one I want to work with if I want to do it. And so we talked to some people. Turns out, oh yeah, they're not lying. They're legit. They're big. And so ended up working with the gentleman. And that was where I was exposed, where it was like, oh shit, like, you can actually, I started making over $10,000 a month, and I was in sales. So I started back over, new systems, new everything, new organization, new region. I'm selling out of the capital region,
but
working
still
out of
Allstate.
Still Allstate.
We're still in the Allstate family at this point, right?
Yep. And this would have been year kind of 3 for me with Allstate. So very quickly kind of got exposed to that. And then was with that agency for about a year as well. And again, that was what opened my eyes where, okay, we're doing like 1.2 million a month with Allstate. Right. I mean, we're riding. I was team lead. I had a team of like 48 freaking producers, some in-house. I was in St. Louis working out of my bedroom, managing all these people. We're selling Allstate. We are just rocking and rolling. And I'm just like, man, I'm turning away 70% of what hits my desk though. Like, what if I just had one more or two more? And that again is what kind of led us to opening Redwood and all that good stuff. But yeah, I mean, those first few years, really that last agency, that mega agency I worked with, man, like that was like, it exposed me to a lot of things that I'm like, okay, I won't ever do that. But it also exposed me to like, oh, damn, they weren't kidding. Like, you can really make some serious money in this industry. And here we are. But it was like the scary thing. That's also some words of encouragement. I hope you guys heard that. Like, sometimes you do got to start over, right? To take advantage of another really good opportunity. If I hadn't done that, dude, and I went corporate APS, like, what if I was like a field sales leader or something with Allstate still? Like, how drastically different, my life would look. I can't even really picture it. It's crazy that I almost became corporate.
Yeah.
I was really close. I guess I am now, but I ain't corporate.
I've started over 5 times in insurance. It is what it is. Like, there's things change, things evolve, bigger opportunities pop up. The good thing about it is you can take all of the skills, knowledge, development that you have with you when you start over. Like, you're not starting over from really zero. Yeah. You might be starting over from zero in your book of business or in your money situation to some level, but you're actually able to take everything that you know and start over and do it even better. Yeah. So in my experience, starting over 5 times, I've been able to take a little bit more with me each time and continue to accelerate. And every time I grow a little bit more and more and more. So I know exactly where you're coming from on that. So at some point, you and your pops, right, decide, hey, no, we're not doing this one hit wonder carrier thing anymore. Mm-hmm. We want more products. We want more freedom. We want more control. We want more independence. And y'all take the leap together. Was that something that had been in development for a while, or were y'all both just like, you know what?
Yeah,
let's do it?
No, it was we had started thinking, because dad had he was a APS, and then he was an FSL, which is a field sales leader, but then he became a TSL, which is a territory sales leader with Allstate, which is, I didn't even know that independents could have Allstate contracts or whatever. And at that time, it was his job. He had like 600 agencies, dude, that he would visit on throughout the year and just try. They had an Allstate contract. So they were independent agents that had Allstate that he was trying to get them to sell more Allstate business. So that was kind of the first exposure where dad really got to see some amazing operations, like I was telling you, like that $27 million book, or he got to see the really shitty agencies, right, where they weren't doing nothing. They were the small mom and pop high risk. They don't do nothing, right? And so that was kind of our first exposure. But I'll tell you this, timing is everything. For us, we were very blessed and fortunate to get in when we did to obtain these direct appointments, which anybody that's on the PNC side or have looked at getting into it, it's like pretty much impossible now to get direct appointments, at least to the carrier, right? And you have a clear view. You have
to go through an aggregator.
Correct, that you can obtain those through now. But for us, it was 12 months. Dad would come to, we knew we wanted to open in Texas. We were actually going to start in Dallas, and it was the night before mom and dad moved to Dallas. Dad calls me. I was already in Austin, had been for about a year. Dad's like, hey, are we going to, like, I don't know. I just got this thing on my heart, man. I think we should do it in Austin. And I'm like, yes, please, dude. Don't make me go to Dallas, man. Like, don't girl. I love you, Dallas folk, but Dallas is a little uppity for old Joe, man. I'm a lake rat. Tell me a cold beer and a noodle, dude. I'm chilling. And so we ended up opening in Austin, but it was 12 months. We knew we wanted to open here. And so dad would come to the Texas conferences where carriers were going to be at. And anybody that knows dad, he's a giant 6'8" freaking redhead, and obviously has the experience, has been, so he can talk the talk. He's literally a corporate person like the people he's talking to. So he knows everything to say to them. And so came down a couple times to meet with these people. First one was, hey, we're kind of thinking about this. The second time was, hey, like we kind of have like a soft launch date. Like, this is kind of what we're looking at. Are we still good to get these appointments? And then the biggest thing, y'all, is we had a business plan. When you go to ask for things, okay, well, why should I give it to you? Well, shit, I don't know, man. I woke up this morning and decided you should.
Because I'm good.
We had a beautiful built out business plan, man. And it was so it was very important for our foundation and how we started as a company. Even though not everything was perfect, it was really cool to see that even 5 years after we had opened, we were actually still doing our business plan and what we were looking to grow into. And so we had a sick business plan, and the carriers ended up giving us a shot, man. And then literally like 6 months after that, no more direct appointments. But then, at that point, we weren't an aggregator or anything. We were broke as shit. I'm cold calling out into the East Coast and just selling auto and home insurance, because that's what I was taught to do with Allstate. And so that's where we started, and then started to get exposed. I mean, that's kind of the theme, I think, of this show today is exposure. I was just starting to get exposed to more and more things, and, going to these events and stuff like that, man, there's so much more than just selling, auto and home insurance. And don't get me wrong, anybody that's a personal lines agency, I know some really successful, just personal line. We don't do the commercial or the trucking or any of that. They don't do the crazy recruiting or all that. Like, I just sell auto and home, and kudos to you, because some of y'all have some sick, nasty agencies, and it's probably a little bit less of a headache, when you don't have like $400,000 trucking account fall off in a month. Definitely a different type of agency. But that was how it started. But man, the timing piece and then being prepared. You guys have heard me say it. It is better to be prepared with no opportunity than to have the opportunity present itself and you're not prepared. And it's like, shit, they said yes, they'd give us a direct appointment, but we got to submit a business plan. Fuck. Like, we don't even know what we're going to do. So that was a big piece for that.
Understood. So you come down to Austin, and now you're actually working alongside your dad as business partners. So you're not just sitting in the back playing wall ball anymore.
No more wall ball. Yeah,
right.
That's right.
And somehow you also convinced one of your best childhood friends to come down with you.
Oh, Hanky.
Yeah.
And Cam came down with Hanky, because then when Hanky was leaving, Cam was best friends with Hanky, and Cam's like, where are you going? Well, shoot, I'll just go if you're going. So it was me, Hanky, Cam, and Dad that started. Hanky, and Cam, sales, service. We didn't have any, like, it was, hey, you do all your own sales, you do all your own service. Right. It was, we don't have salaries or anything like that. Like, you got to eat what you kill, right?
Yeah.
But that was Hanky called me. I was getting ready to move back to Texas. I was like, yo, dude, I'm getting ready to move. it's this probably gonna be like I was still in St. Louis and he was in Cincinnati, and I was like, yo, I'm throwing a going away party. It's probably last time. I mean, at least close enough for you to get down here. Like, and anybody that Hanky was my best friend in college before I dropped out. So this is years after the fact, right? And I call, oh no, I'm working, because he was working he was in pre-management or trying to get into management at Enterprise, because that's what he did right out of college. And so, but he was working literally like 6-7 days a week, 10-12 hour days, just busting his ass for Enterprise. I literally go, bro, if you worked like that in insurance, man, you would kill it. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah. And then I told him, I said, hey man, like I could give you a spot. I'll bring you on, just kind of let me know. And we didn't even have a house yet or anything. Like, I mean, we had gotten down to Austin, and then Hanky calls me one day and he's like, yo, dude, is that job still open? Because I just put in my 2 weeks and I'm moving down, man. I was like, oh shit, dude. Like, we don't have an office. So we're, you've been to my house. We started the agency out of that loft is where we started.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where we all lived. And then that's where we just set up our computers. Man, 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that sun starts to come through that front window. We're all sweating up there, just making dials, dude. And that's where we started. And yeah, he, dude, just said, dropped everything, committed to it. That was really scary for me.
I imagine it was. That was actually going to be my next question.
I was like, oh crap. Like, I hope this works out, man. Like, this dude is literally changing his entire life to come work for us, right? And really, it's not even work with us, but ultimately it was that belief of, dude, we didn't even have the proof of concept. Like, we didn't have sales yet or anything, right? But like, man, we knew what we were setting out to do, and to have somebody really believe in that, and not just believe, but like, dude, Cincinnati, Ohio, to quit your freaking job, pack up a U-Haul, get a trailer for your car, and move down to Austin when we don't even have a house or a freaking office yet. I mean, that's some belief, right? But that was also where it was scary. It was also almost reaffirming in a way. We're like, wow, okay, somebody wouldn't do that if we weren't on to something good. So now we need to like keep going and figure this thing out, right?
Have you always had that kind of magnetism from other people, right? Where they kind of follow you, they look to you as kind of a leader in the right, and you develop that relationship where people are willing to just like, well, if Joe's going to do it, I'm going to do it, and I believe in him because Joe's smart. Joe's going to get it done. Has that always kind of been a thing for you?
Yeah, but sometimes for the wrong.
Oh, certainly, Joe's jumping off into a lake of fire too. Like, yeah. Right, understood.
And they're like, "Well, damn, dude, we shouldn't have done what Joe did." Yeah, that's another conversation. But no, I think I've always kind of had the, kind of just leadership aspect about me. I do, and when I say I like to lead from the front too. Sure. I'm not ever one that's like trying to like ask people to do things or kind of sit in this leadership role, but then I don't want to do them, or I've never done them, or I wouldn't be willing to do them. But I think I don't know. Part of it's just maybe confidence. I just always have been, I feel like, pretty fairly confident and positive. Like, I just have this positive outlook. You know that very well about me. It's like, it's really hard to bring old Joe down. Like, I'm always looking glass half full. Hell, if anything, glass full, right? My glass is always full because I'm just very grateful for the things I have. But yeah, you brought it up actually when I interviewed you a couple weeks ago. I was definitely that kid that had friends in all the friend groups. I bounced around, right? And like, I had like, some people definitely didn't like me, right? But then other people, like, I was a sports guy, but then I was also, kicking it with the skaters, or I was so I was a townie too. So then I was hanging out with the local kids and, doing that type of stuff. So I was always, I'm very much like, I get fed. My energy definitely comes a lot from other people. I love being around people. And definitely, again, in this industry, there's nothing better than getting around people and kind of, again, exposing them to some things and just seeing, like, a Hanky, for example. Now, that dude did not start where he is now, but to see where he's at, and like some of the posts I'll make about him were like, dude, I walked in this guy's office, and to see what he has on his whiteboard, and to see that this dude gets in here at 5:36 a.m. every freaking morning and reads every single day, and he's reading. I mean, all the things that I'm seeing him do, it's so freaking rewarding, because I remember when me and him were drinking half gallons our freshman year in college, and it's like, we weren't doing this. So yeah, I guess I've always been kind of a people person. That goes back to why I didn't want to go to school. But that's why I went to school.
Yeah.
Where everybody's at, it's how I'm going to, communicate and be around people. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I met you, like we met virtually on Facebook, right? Probably somewhere around 2018, 2019, bouncing around some of these
Mhm.
Facebook groups. And then we finally met face to face in 2020 at the
2020.
Cody, one of the Cody Askins Power Players retreats,
Mhm.
right? In Springfield, you and me, and we've talked about that event quite a bit and kind of what that event was ground zero for
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. How at that point, when I met you, it was you and Pops came out to that event in Springfield, but you had your office, like you weren't working from the loft anymore.
Mm-mm.
You
Yep.
guys had your office over on Cypress or wherever it was, not too far
Yep.
from where we're at now.
Yep.
How long had that? Do you remember how long you guys had been Redwood at that point? I felt like it was still pretty damn new.
Well, Redwood we were formed March of 2018.
Okay.
It was a really slow start. We only had one carrier. We had Safeco was our first carrier, and we had them for like 9 months before we really had like a Progressive or anybody else kind of fall in suit. State Auto was another one of our first ones, but it was really, I'd say, like January, February of 2019 is when we were still just cold calling, just trying to, but
Sure.
we finally had like I think our full kind of carrier arsenal. My Facebook stuff was starting to pick up. I wasn't having to cold call all day. We were still doing all of our own sales and service at that point. So yeah, I mean, we were still very, very green. Just because I mean, even our
Sure.
first 6 months, I mean, it's like again coming from Allstate University and binding authority. Like I missed that, and because when I came over to the independent, and again when we were direct, there wasn't a clear view to show you the ropes and hey, don't do all these things that I did. Right? It was hey, best of luck. Right? So me and Hanky, I remember, dude, I mean, we would just sit there and read product manuals for each of the non-resident states that we were in because I don't know what else we're supposed to do. I guess read these and then we start selling or something. And then it got to the point where I'm like, all right, screw this. We just need to get on the phones and just get into the carrier systems and figure this out. A lot of it was trial and error.
Sure.
But you learn, right? You learn from those lessons. The losses become the lessons. But yeah, we were still real green, man, when we got there. I remember that call. It was out South Bell. We were probably newer into that office, and I remember Cody calling my cell phone. I'm sitting outside of Dad's office, and I'm like, dude, Cody is calling my cell phone, dude. Like, I'm starstruck. Get on the phone. He's like, we really want you there. And I'm like, dude, we can't afford, I think it was like $8,000 or something. I'm like, if you could get me to like 6, and can I bring my dad? He's like, done. And then that's how we got to Springfield. That changed so much for
That
us.
changed a lot for a lot
Mhm.
of people, actually.
Yeah.
Right. And we're not going to get into all of that. We're going to focus on you, but you guys made a pretty big pivot in your business
Mm-hmm.
at that point. That was the first time, as I remember, that you started presenting Redwood as an aggregator and started
Yep.
selling your own franchises.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep. Yes.
How
100%
did
Cody. That's Cody.
right? What was that transition like for you? I'm going from selling $100 a month auto policy to now I'm selling a 5-figure franchise deal.
Oh, ask Ellen David Denning. I was a chicken, dude. I was like, I knew because we paid Cody. We signed up for $30,000 with Cody.
Correct.
So, all right, if I'm gonna pay the guy, I should probably listen to him, man. And he's like, dude, you guys are sitting on gold with these direct appointments. You've talked to the carriers, they're okay with you to bring on other agencies. What are you doing? And I'm like, well, but if I get out of production, then there goes all my money. I don't have a salary or anything. And what if nobody buys? Like, what if nobody wants to spend? I think when we first started, technically Tia was our first agent. Love you, Tia. But really outside of Tia, I mean, our contract, I think we were selling them at like 10, it was either 5 or 10 grand. Then we got to 15,000 to join. We were doing 90-10 splits. But I remember, man, like that was the scariest thing for me where I would get out of, all right, I'm going to be out of production. Right. And then you have to delegate my referrals and my leads to somebody else. That was a really tough part too. Cause I'm like, they're not going to close them like I would. Right. And they're super hot, but I know that if I'm doing this, then I'm not going to be like allocating the time I need to what I really believe in. And what I'm paying for Cody's advice on is, man, we need to be bringing people in. I need to be marketing this. I need to be recruiting and having those conversations. It was so scary, dude, because all I'd ever known was you sell insurance to make money in insurance. And now it's like, I got to sell basically us. I got to sell myself. I remember, dude, the first time asking somebody for $15,000 and they're like, Pert, where do I send it? Like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like, didn't even bat an eye. I was like, damn. But it took me so long to get there where there would be months. I was in Closers Click. That's why I brought up Ellen David Denning, because there was accountability Fridays. All right, Joe, how many people are you still producing? Yes. Right. Like I would go back. I'm like, you know what? I'll just do this one. And then it just would totally deter me from going out and really, being the face, branding, marketing, all that stuff that obviously I'm doing now and I love to do. But that was scary, man.
Mm-hmm.
Which it can be. I'm sure even for you, when you were getting out of the field and now, okay, now I'm going into the wholesaling space. I mean, it's totally different than selling to the client, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Similar skill sets, but still totally different.
Yeah.
Now, I met you during that time, right? Right when you guys were going through that phase, right? We just got going. We got our teeth cut. We got an
Yep.
office now. We've got some direct appointments. I met you at this event. Cody reshapes you into a franchise guy. Like, this is what y'all need to do. That was a big jumping off point, I remember, for Redwood. You guys went through a pretty sizable amount of growth pretty quick in that time when it came to growing your external distribution. And some turmoil came later. And Redwood is technically no longer.
Yeah.
At least the way I understand it.
It's a softball team.
Right. It's a softball team now,
yep.
which is an amazing thing that you got to do. But I know there's other agents out there that have grown something with a partner. Maybe it's a family partner. Maybe it's just a random partner that they met in life. Could be their best friend or something. And challenges happen. Shit happens. People decide, I don't want to do it this way anymore. I want to go that way. And sometimes, those relationships or those partnerships can sour. Without having to go through like nitty-gritty details, how challenging was that for you, realizing that everything that you had worked for to get here, everything that you guys had built a business plan around, everything that you had thought about, dreamt about, pushed for, paid to get advice for so you could grow it even better, was now going to come to an end?
That was a difficult freaking time, man. And there was a lot that was coming to an end. The family was coming to, like, splitting up, right, and dissolving, and everything I'd known, just even as a family outside of the business. But we were a family business, so then you best believe it all works its way into the company. And not to get like super religious with this, but I really tapped into my faith and I felt closer to God than I think I ever did in the past. In the midst of that turmoil, I'm like, okay, this has got to be a test or something, right? And it's still challenging. My business partner, y'all, owns my company that I started with my dad in 2018. So I show up to work and I work with the dude who literally owns my company. And I think eventually he said he'll give it back when they're done paying debt service on it, but that's like 10 years away or something. So it can still be challenging. Like, man, that's my client, that I sold forever ago, but it's not mine anymore. But no, I think it was really challenging. But I truly believe, like, again, God, I feel like I was given that test because I was able to weather the storm. And it was challenging. I reached out to a lot of people. I know that we obviously had multiple conversations on, dude, like, what am I even supposed to do here? How am I supposed to handle this? Turns out what was said was not what it was about to happen. And I'm over here like, what? Like, there's no way I'm going to lose all this and not, get taken care of at all. But ultimately, man, I came to a peace of what that decision was, and that was it. I think once you make that decision, and people ask me about it, like, we talk about it, and it's like, yeah, but like at the end of the day, like I made that decision. I said yes. At the final conclusion of when everything was getting ready to basically end, I said okay, right, and I had to be okay with that. And I think as soon as I finally made that decision, because there were so many moving pieces, there was this. I mean, a lot of those intricacies. Once I made the decision of, okay, I've prayed on it, I've talked with many a people to make sure that I'm, not being crazy here. It's like, guys, I'm not being crazy here, right? And then I made that decision that, what, this is what I'm okay with. This is what we're going to do. And if I can do that in, 4 to 5 years, I can do it again in a shorter amount of time. And so when I had that peace of mind, then I'm done. Again, some days it can still be challenging because you think back, you look at it, right? Or we tell our stories about, like, man, when we first started, dude, and it's like crazy to think that that's all kind of just gone. But I still believe the mission, everything that I believe in the reason that we set out to do what we did with Redwood, what I set out to do just with insurance, I think if anything, it's been heightened and empowered now through Clearview and having more of a back office team and just more support and more resources and all these things that come with that, where through the loss, okay, I had some loss for sure, right? And I struggled with that. But man, where we are now, dude, like there was a lot of lessons gained from the loss. And now I don't view it as a loss. I view it as like it was a pivot, right? One of our favorite words.
Absolutely. Well, we're coming up to the hour, but I do have a little bit more I want to chat about, but we'll try to get this wrapped up so everybody can get back to work and being productive. During that time, right, where you were dissolving Redwood, splitting it up, selling it off, whatever, there was obviously some inner turmoil here and there, right? And we kind of addressed that a little bit. But I know that there were some external relationships that got soured through that transition. And you developed some haters out there.
Oh, yeah.
Without calling anybody out directly, do you have a message for any of those people?
Oh, man. Oh, no, I don't. Who is the saying? Nobody, I can't remember who said it, but nobody hates on somebody who's doing better than them, or nobody, whoever's doing better. I can't remember what it is, but basically if you're doing better, like nobody hates down, basically. Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm not one to hate. It's like, dude, I kind of going back to like, man, once I made that decision, I know what was done and I know all of the ins and outs, and like a lot of what was out there was BS. But then it's like, I think of all my time and energy and my thought. And I had some of those soured relationships actually reach out and were like, oh, crap, dude. Like when I really released my whole story, they're like, dude, we didn't realize any of that was going on. And I'm like, I know. And it's not really, you're not supposed to, right? But like, there was like a lot of relationships that were mended there, but there's still a couple out there. You guys have seen it, I'm sure. But yeah, the word to the haters, I'm not listening, whatever, I'm just doing my thing. I don't really have the time or energy for that. I've tried to stay positive. And I think, when you focus on those negatives, and you're not everybody's always going to freaking love y'all. Right. And that's clients. We go through it on a daily basis with our clients, y'all, for everybody listening. We go through it with our agents. If you're building a team, you go through it with your freaking spouses, with your kids. Like, I mean, it's not every day is going to be freaking rainbows and sunshine. And you will develop, especially if you're doing big things and you're trying to grow and doing what, really I'm set out to do. I'm going to have some people that get a little upset, and that's okay. I know, my intention in my heart and how I make decisions. And as long as I'm good with that and I kind of keep that in check, I know that ultimately, it is what it is. But
it's nearly impossible to do big things and not rattle a few people's cages and get them bent for whatever their own issues is. It just is what it is.
It hurts, like, because like my character is like, I try to love everybody, and anybody that really knows me knows that, like, I'm not an asshole. I do not screw people over. Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, I really go like, it's like so much of my name is so important to me, and my character that is associated to that. So it can hurt. Like, you see some of that stuff and it's like, man, all that is like not true, but it is what it is, and you just move on and get on with the day. So
how important are relationships to you within this business in general, and how valuable or necessary do you think they are for agents that are on a growth trajectory?
I wouldn't be here without them. I mean, we talk about it a lot on these shows, y'all, but literally relationships, it's funny. Some people have differing opinions with business partners and stuff.
Sure.
And coming from somebody who's had a really rough time with a previous business or multiple business partners in the past, is why I've started over multiple times. I think the relationships are what change everything, dude. I don't see anybody massive doing it by themselves. I don't know anybody. I mean, you look at, again, some of these bigger players, even like a Patrick Bet-David or some of these players in our space that now, I mean, they're not doing it by themselves. Sure. Now, they may be the face and they may have the show and this, and this, but like, and I may be the face of Syndicate or Clear, whatever, but like, I ain't doing it alone. I don't think I could. I don't think I could. I know that I could not do it. And I think having the mentality or the awareness of the importance of relationships is also like, that's key, right? Because it translates in, we're in a relationship business, regardless of who you're working with. If you're a recruiter, if you're whatever, we're in a relationship business. So when you have that kind of, okay, what is a relationship supposed to be? It's supposed to be a two-way street. It's not supposed to be a bunch of like, bitching and complaining and hating each other and yelling. Like, that's not you wouldn't be in a relationship if that was the case. Right.
Right.
So I think when you have that kind of front of mind, and treat everybody that way, I don't know, you've seen a lot of it too. There's a lot of lack of respect in this industry. There's people out there that just like, They just will just throw it. I don't care, man. But I also think there's a lot of misconception of where people read into a word. And it's like, I mean, hell, I do it with my wife where I'm like, damn it, I was not trying to say that in that text, but that's not how she read it, you know? And it's like, I think there's a lot of that too, where, hey, there's actually like really good people here and you're just reading into like a paragraph.
Right.
So, yeah,
People get a little salty online sometimes and let that stuff affect them too much. But
and it can ruin relationships.
Absolutely.
I'm like, over a Facebook post, y'all? Like, come on, man. Like, you're going to let that do that to a relationship? It's like, You're missing out. Yeah.
Well, man, we are over the hour.
Yep.
We could easily do another hour because there's questions that I have for you that we haven't even gotten to address. So we may have to do a part two with Mr. Joe Kampert. We could talk about the trio of amazing athleticism that is currently sprouting in his house right now. Out of control, what you're going to witness here in about another 10 to 15 years.
I know. It's crazy.
But it's as always, dude, it's a pleasure. As we wrap this up, right, I have a ton of respect for you as someone that I've met, and now we're business partners. So I appreciate you putting this segment together for us so that some of our audience, some of the people in this Facebook group can get to know you a little bit better, get to know myself. So one final question before we do jump off. Why did you start this Facebook group?
Why did I start? Well, I pulled the trigger. That's one of my biggest strengths, guys. I will aim later and shoot now. It was I guess we'll wrap it up with the theme of the show. It was exposure. I mean, I was exposed, that room in Cody, and meeting a Pete Fournier and a Nate Offord and a Brad Hannon and a Josh Lustig and a freaking Ryan Nutter and Beavers. I mean, it's like all those people that we met in that room, dude. I was like exposed to so much. I remember Ron Ray telling me, I'm like, okay, hold on. How much do you make on a Medicare app? Like on a True Up? And I was like, what? Like, why have I not been why am I only selling auto and home or a renter's policy that pays me $15 every year? Like, are you kidding me? And then the life insurance where I'm like, hold on. You're telling me that you can sell this premium and then you make 75% of that in literally 24 hours? What? I'm licensed to do this. Why am I not doing that? So why I started the group was, well, why I think it's literally you don't know what you don't know. And there wasn't really a group. Typically, there's a PNC group. They're out there. You have a PNC group. You've got a Medicare group. You have a health group. You have a life group. And I'm like, why are we all trying to run in separate lanes when we're all in the same industry? And really the exposure that led me to do what I'm doing now, I want to give that back to any and everybody. So again, it was through I viewed it as disrupting the industry. The traditional kind of way that we've looked at it is, dude, PNC, life, health, Medicare, unit, we're all complementary to each other. Why are we not collaborating? Why do we not? You guys see it, strategic partnerships. They're so important. But that was the main reason, man. I was like, you know what? Insurance syndicate. And I told Dad, literally, I'm like, Dad, dude, I'm spinning this up tonight. I literally had the group. I had the logos. I had everything done. Literally that night we launched, and then we grew that sucker so fast to where here we are, all organic. Anybody that's watching this too, any of our members, they're in a single fake account in here. There's not any bots. There's nothing. Like, this is all organic. We've never spent any money on marketing or ads. It just goes back to our members and the disruption through collaboration and transparency of information shared. There wouldn't be people joining this group organically. Facebook wouldn't be recommending this group organically if it wasn't for our members.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, man, it's been an amazing ride. Whole syndicate, baby.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
Well, man, thank you for putting this segment together so that we can, again, kind of feed back to our audience and give some value back to you guys and entertain you a little bit too. We hope this has been informative, that it has also been entertaining. And more importantly, like I can tell you from the bottom of both Joe and my heart, we really appreciate that you guys have joined us in this group, that you participate in this group, and that you do keep it at the high level of professionalism that we've all come to understand, appreciate, and expect in this group. I spend a lot of time in other groups, and I don't see the consistent level of professionalism that I get in this group. A lot of drama, a lot of call out. Yes, we occasionally shake it up from time to time, and some people get their feathers in a wad, but nonetheless, overall, this has been a fantastic group. And that is, again, back to you, the members. You guys are a big part of that. So thank you. Thank you again. We're going to keep doing these shows, man. We got a couple more of them. We got a few more show hosts that we're going to do. I think we got Luke Akery possibly next week. And I'm just going to say it again. I've said this a lot over the couple of years that we've been doing this little experiment, if you want to call it. But if you're not tuning in to Monday, the Monday show with Luke Acree, you're missing the boat, bro. I promise you that is easily some of the best content that we're getting out there on a consistent basis with him. But anyway,
last conversation I had with him, bro, that man, they do 45,000 payment processes a month. 45,000 a month. I'm like, oh my God, dude. Like, that's crazy.
That's a lot of perpetuity right there, baby.
That's a lot of clients. That's a lot of payments.
Yeah. So if you want to really, really listen to some excellent material on your mindset, your money, your marketing, you need to tune into Mondays. But other than that, as always, we have content in here daily for the most part. And if you're missing it daily, go check it out on YouTube. We've got everything posted there, and it will always live in the video, or the, what do they call, the media section of the group as well. So Thank you all for tuning in. That is a lengthy winning on Wednesday for you guys. But as always, we're here every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Central. Look out for the next one.
All right, y'all. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.